Hello friends, welcome to this YouTube video program. We are discussing about the components and steps of conducting educational research. In our earlier program, we have discussed about the research problem, how a research problem should be selected by the researcher, and what are the different sources from where the researcher can select a problem, and what precautions the researcher should keep in his or her mind when selecting a research problem. Then, in our earlier program, we have also discussed about the review of related literature. What are the sources of review of related literature, and how to establish a gap of research for conducting a new research, or for giving an innovative and a new shape to your research problem, and how to write the review of related literature also. In today's program, we will discuss on research questions, how to state research questions, and accordingly, how to write the research objectives also, and what is the need of research questions and stating objectives in your research. So, friends, before discussing, how to state the research question, let us try to understand. The research is a very systematic and scientific work, and when we conduct a research, maybe in the field of education or maybe in the field of any discipline, any branch of knowledge, or any subject, you can say, we follow a process, we follow a definite process. Okay, so this is a process oriented work. Means we start to work with selecting a problem, and then after at a certain, we cannot jump to collect data and reach at the findings. Rather, we have to adopt a procedure, a definite procedure. So in that procedure, already we have discussed that how to select a problem. Then we have also discussed that for selecting a research problem, how analyzing the review of related literature and the studies which has conducted earlier is an important aspect. Then again, today we'll discuss about the research question. You see, being a researcher, being a teacher, I have always experienced that whenever I conduct any type of work, when I prepare myself for taking a session, taking a class, okay, maybe in a video program, or maybe you can say a type of radio program, or even if taking a session in workshop, or in face-to-face teaching. Okay, so always I ask myself, or it happens with any teacher, that we ask certain question to ourselves. Okay, so whatever we are going to teach, we are preparing ourselves, certain questions we should ask yourselves, that what we will do in this session. Okay, so what are the things that supposed to be discussed in the session. So accordingly, such things happen in doing a research. You see, taking a class, it's a matter of you can say 40 minutes or 1 hour. But when you are conducting a research, so it takes much time. It takes years together, and the scope of your study and implication of your study is very vast. You see, your result, the findings of your study may be implemented further for any type of systematic changes, for any type of further implications of your study, for any type of modification, for any type of development. So that's why when you will conduct a study, any researcher, you see, you will experience that certain questions are in your mind. Okay, so you will ask yourself, or there is certain questions related to the problem, related to the theme or topic that you have selected, and you are asking yourself that what are the answer of that question, and for getting answer of that question, you are conducting a study, you are adopting a definite procedure, a scientific process, and you are conducting your study. So friends, you see, for conducting a study in research, certain questions come to your mind, and that question take a shape of a research question. Okay, and a research question is a definite, there is a definite place of research question in your study. Then again, I would like to say, you see, the research question that you will state in your study, that will further help you for stating the objectives. Okay, the objectives of the study. आपके अध्ययन में जो उद्देश्य होगा, ये उद्देश्य कहाँ से मिलेगा? So where you will get the objectives? What is the base of stating the objectives? First, here research questions that you have stated in your study, that will provide a base for for stating the objectives, and further that objectives will be studied. Then again, you see from where you will get the research question. As you are the researcher, you have involved in the study and you have certain question in your mind. You can say, basing upon your insight, basing upon your knowledge, basing upon your experience, you can state research questions. But at the same time, for stating research questions, other aspects of the study, or you can say the background knowledge of the study, the theory behind the theme or the topic or the problem that you have selected, that also equally responsible, that also contribute for stating the research question. Let me to give one example. I'm just giving a very a simple example. Let you have selected two variable in your study. Okay, so one variable is the achievement and other variable is the you can say intelligence. These are the two variables. So as a researcher, when you culture the the background of the study, the theory and the principle, the concept behind these two variables, achievement and intelligence, you will find many things. So when you will study, you will find that how achievement is related to intelligence and how intelligence contribute towards achievement, whether intelligence is a factor for achievement. So such type of things, such type of concept you will get when you will study the variables, means study the theory. Here variable means you will find that the theory of that variable, the principle of that variable, principle of the variable of achievement, principle of the variable of intelligence. So when you will study the theory, from there you will get certain information, you will get certain knowledge about the research question. Okay, so accordingly you can state research question. So here friends, the theory and principles of the variable that you have taken in your study, that helps to state the research question. Then again, you see, I will also talk about the hypothesis. Okay, I have already developed a video on hypothesis. You must have gone through that video. If you have not gone through, please watch that video, then the things will be clear. But here we are talking about three things: research question, research objectives, and research hypothesis. So you see, research questions are the base for stating the research objectives, and when you have stated the research objectives, that also provide a base for stating the research hypothesis. Okay, so these three things are interlinked: questions, objectives, and hypothesis. And many often, you see, it comes to the mind of the students that whether they can conduct a study without a research questions or not. So I have also seen many researchers that they have conducted their study without a research question, means directly they have written the objectives. And many a time I have also gone through certain studies that they have conducted the study taking the research questions, even if they have not stated the objectives. So what I will say, if you are doing your study taking only the research questions, you can do. I cannot say that you cannot do, but for making it a proper working in a proper format, in a very procedural way, to maintain a proper procedure, I can say that you should write the research questions and followed by the research objectives. Means the questions should become the base for stating the objectives. So when you are writing the questions, means it is very much clear to the part of any reader. Means in further, when the readers will go through your dissertation, your work, they will get a knowledge that what are the questions that comes to the mind of the researcher, and further that questions are investigated, that questions have been studied through the objectives. Okay, so that's why follow a stepwise procedure and definitely develop certain research questions, and that should be practical enough, that should be you can say research questions should be studied. Okay, so you state the research questions, then accordingly you state the objectives. Let us now talk about the objectives. You see, when you are writing the objectives, then it makes your research very clear. Means the direction of your study, what you want to study, that become very clear. And if you not write the objectives and if you proceed taking only the questions, so sometimes you will find that the research questions that the researcher stating, that is something maybe this has been stated in a research format, but that is something related with the researcher personally. So that's why to make it a very to give it a very formal shape, you should write the research objectives. And when we write the research objectives, it should not too many and ambiguous. Many a time what we have observed that the students are writing 10 12 research objectives. You see, is it possible that in your master dissertation or in your MPhil, whether you are able to justify the objectives? So hardly for 3 4 5 objectives if you are studying in your master dissertation, I think that is enough. Unnecessary writing the objectives, and many a time you will find that the objectives are lacking certain direction. Okay, that objectives is not providing certain meaning, means it creates confusion towards the mind of the researcher that what really you are going to do. So that's why avoid to state the ambiguous you can say research objectives. It should be stated very clearly. And I have already told that when you are stating the research objectives, definitely it should be aligned with the research question. You read your research question, let your research, you have stated the first research question, and with that research questions, basing upon that research questions, what are the objectives should be there, and that objectives should be studied. So many a time you will find that you can state more than one objectives basing upon a single research question. So in your entire study, let you have stated 2 or 3 research questions, then you can state more than 2 and 3 objectives. So here there is no limitation of any number. You cannot say that you have stated 3 research questions, 4 research questions, then accordingly you have to state 4 research objectives. So many a time more than one objectives can be stated on a particular research question. So now friends, let us discuss taking one example how you can state the research questions and accordingly how to state the research objective. Let I am taking one study, one title of the research, that is I am reading it, a study of reaction of student teachers of IGNOU B.Ed program in Delhi region towards practical courses. I repeat this title, a study of reactions of student teachers of IGNOU B.Ed program in Delhi region towards practical courses. So here what I mean to say, in IGNOU the student teachers, those have taken admission in Delhi region. So you want to know their reaction towards what? Reactions towards practical courses in B.Ed program. You see, here what you will do, you have to first understand that what are the different practical, because this study is based upon only the practical activities. This study is not based upon the other aspects. Okay, so that's why you have to clear that what are the different practical aspects of IGNOU B.Ed program. Let the practical, one of the practical aspect is the school based activities. Mean this teachers, the student teachers, what they're supposed to do, they have to involve themselves, they have to conduct very many school based activities. Okay, they will participate in school assembly, and they have to take the leadership, they have to conduct school assembly also. In, you can say, an educational tour, they can conduct different cultural activities. Okay, different you can say your scholastic and post scholastic activities. So the practical activities or school based activities where the student teachers are involving themselves, they have to conduct the activity and they have to write the report, and that report they're supposed to submit. So this is one of the activity. Then second is workshop based activities. In IGNOU program you will find that in 2 years program, every year we have a 12 days face to face workshop activities which is conducted at the study center. Okay, so the student teacher will come to the study center and experts will take the sessions. During the session, apart from the theory courses, many practical aspects will be conducted. The student teacher, they will develop the skills, teaching skills and other aspects also. So here how the student teacher are involved in the workshop based activities, that is another practical aspect. And the third practical aspect is the practice teaching, or you can say internship. Okay, so they have to pursue, they have to undergo with 4 months complete internship program. Okay, means they have to practice, they have to teach in the school, and you will also find that their teaching will also be monitored by the teachers and by the head of the schools or by the experts. So here this is the topic. On this topic you will write certain objectives and research questions and research objectives. Then how you will write the research questions? So here you see we have already explained that the 3 practical activities are: one is the school based activities, then other is workshop based activities, and third is the practice teaching or the internship. So here your research questions should based upon these 3 aspects. The first is like what are the reaction of student teachers of B.Ed program of IGNOU towards school based activities. So what are the reaction of student teachers towards school based activities, because this is one of the aspect of your study. Then second, what are the reactions of student teachers of a B.Ed program of IGNOU towards workshop based activities. Okay, so this is the second aspect of the practical activities. And the third, what are the reactions of the students teachers of IGNOU B.Ed program towards practice teaching or internship. So this is the third aspect. So you have stated here 3 research questions taking the practical activities of IGNOU B.Ed program. Okay, so that is workshop based activities, school based activities and the internship. So the researchers here she is having in his mind these 3 questions, and here she is, or the researcher is going to study on these 3 questions. So basing upon these 3 questions, the researcher can state the objectives. So let the first objective is to study the reactions of student teachers of B.Ed program of IGNOU towards school based activities. So here simply this has been stated that to study the reaction of student teachers of B.Ed program of IGNOU towards school based activities. Second, you can write that based upon the another research question, that is to study the reaction of student teachers of B.Ed program of IGNOU towards workshop based activities. And third, you can say to study the reaction of student teachers of B.Ed program of IGNOU towards practice teaching. So here you see I have written 3 objectives. You can also extend it, you can also add certain more objectives. So friends, this objective will help you to for studying what tools you will use, whether you will observe the classes or whether you will interview the student teachers, or whether you will interview the experts those are taking the session. So techniques, the tools and techniques that you will use, that also you will also get a type of knowledge, certain idea from the objectives. So friends, when you conduct a study, directly you cannot study, because this is a research that includes a process. So under that process you have to proceed stepwise. Okay, so you selected a problem, then analyze the review of related literature, then the questions that comes in your mind that you have to write, that is the research question, and on the basing upon the research question you have to state certain objectives. And when you state the objectives, the things are getting a little clear that further what you will do. Okay, means it will lead you towards further aspect of the study. It will direct you towards doing a proper research. So friends, after stating the research objectives, then further you should go for research hypothesis. So in this program, we discuss about research question and objectives. In our next program, we will discuss about the hypothesis, how to state the hypothesis, and how hypothesis is related with research questions as well as research objectives. Thank you.